Hello again. My name is Zuzana Hrusovska. I am a product designer at Mews, and today I'm gonna tell you about my delightful or maybe a little undelightful product and how to understand the real value. Like many of us, I started my design career working in B2C products. And to be honest, in B2C, it was kind of easy to like what you produce, to really fall in love with it. Like everything had to be frictionless. All the flows were carefully designed. The copy had to be not only understandable, but also funny or witty or friendly. UI was always pixel perfect, and the graphics were breathtaking. So everything here was designed to trigger some emotion. Uh, we strive for some perfection in the agency I worked before, because every friction, every imperfection could be the difference between the conversion or not, between the user uninstalling our app or keeping it in their phone. So the experience was a part of like differentiating from other products or other brands that has similar value proposition. So if we look at this pyramid of user needs, at the bottom we all know there's a functionality. So what we are delivering or what we are working at needs to have some value for the user. He needs to have some motivation to use it. Then also it needs to be reliable, so the app doesn't crashes half the way. Also it needs to be usable, so user actually knows how to use our product. And it needs to be, at least for B2C, also somehow pleasurable. At least this is something I always tried for before, because in B2C I had very often just one chance to attract the user. And this mindset of striving for some kind of perfection and some kind of delight, this was my mindset when I joined Mews. And then in Mews, they gave me my own PMS to take care of full time. And I'm sure all of you know what PMS stands for. It's a property management system. Property management system is our property management system is called Commander, and Almighty Commander is a cloud-based property management system, which is basically the brains of the hotel. So anything anyone does in the hotel is done through Commander. For a few examples, when you're working at the reception and you're checking people in, checking people out, charging guests, ordering them, I don't know, extra daily trips or Coca-Cola or anything, you do it by Commander. If you're a housekeeper and you need to store in the system which rooms are already cleaned, use Commander. If you work in the back office and you're analyzing fiscal reports or you're executing pricing strategies, Commander is the way to go. So this is our dashboard. To be honest, when I first saw it coming from B2C, I was overwhelmed. I was completely overwhelmed. The first thing is that I was used to like applications look different, more pretty, if I have to say. Another thing was that I had no experience in the hospitality, not whatsoever. So one of the things I struggled with a lot was all the industry terms and all the parts of the system. I just didn't know whether I don't understand them because I'm just not from the industry, or I don't understand them because no one understands them and they maybe just learned somehow what it does. And another thing that was causing this overwhelmed feeling for me was there were a lot of inconsistencies in the system. There was just a lot of things behaving in an unexpected way, sometimes missing validation. So, for example, if you look at these forms, all the submit buttons are okay. We use label OK across half of the system, or not half, but we use label OK plenty. And sometimes OK buttons are confirming something, sometimes they are saving something, they are changing something, or they are deleting something. And a lot of times there are some dependencies in those forms. Then you have the OK button, and then only after you select OK button, you get some error messages that something wasn't actually filled correctly. So I was crawling through the system and actually clicking on everything and trying to find out how it actually behaves. So I thought, okay, let's start small. How can I improve this? How can I improve my new baby and make it more usable and more pleasant to work with? I had my primary task, which was redesigning of some reports, and then I had some time for consolidation. So I thought, okay, let's improve forms. Forms are like 30 or 40% of Commander. There's a lot of them. And if you look at this screenshot, this form particularly, you cannot never fill these two items at the same time, space category and space time. If you fill them at the same time and then you try to save the form, you would get this error message. For me, this was completely unexpected behavior. There is no clue in the form that telling you how you should fill it. So I thought, okay, this is something I can improve step by step. So the first step would be, okay, find and map all the similar use cases in the Commander where we would use some dynamic behavior in the forms. Not so easy. In reality, we have all kind of forms, all shapes, all sizes, all layouts. They are not so consistent, and the only way how you would find out whether something should behave in a different way is actually go through every single form and try to fill it and save it and wait for the error message. But okay, let's do this. It's our legacy, so let's go for it. So then the next step for me would be propose some solutions. How should these dynamic forms behave in all different cases? Fine. But then, but when I talk to developers, I realize that it doesn't matter what I come up with. A lot of some of our forms are still on the backend. So I would have to, it was already planned to make them on front end, but there was like no way for me to do something for the whole Commander at the same time because I couldn't do anything with the backend forms. So this was a bit low point. So how to get around it? My advice number one would be, if you are working in a system such as mine, which has some legacy, which is such a complex, it's just know your depths and make peace with them. Try to work around them, and if you know the limitations of your system very well, you can actually come up with creative solutions how to solve some problems you didn't even know about before. Like the debts are just legacy. At the beginning we are a startup, so at the beginning the priority was to deliver the value, the functionality fast. So that's why some of our systems are based on backend, but we are improving it. So this was a time for me to actually accept the fact that my system is not going to be delightful, not anytime soon, and not in a traditional sense of the word. My system will not going to be delightful in a way as I was used to from B2C, and it's okay. Our users just need to get their job done. They work at the reception or in the housekeeping and so on, and what they need is to perform the task or just log the task they already did, is their work tool. They will never like use it in their free time. So the best case is that we enable them to get their job done fast, really fast. So imagine imagine your work at the reception and you have 300 people checking out in the morning. So what is the experience you want to provide to these guests? That you were sitting on the computer for 3 hours checking people out? No. Our ultimate goal is to have our system smart enough and fast enough so our users actually don't need to spend any time there and they just can whatever needs to be done extremely fast. So our responsibility is to enable them do their job, as I said before. And our advantage is basically that our users are like power users, there are regular users, and we have a little more shots than in B2C with them. So they are willing to meet us halfway, but we need to give them something in exchange. We need to deliver them the value. So even if we don't release something that was pixel perfect and outstanding on the first shot, we will gather their feedback and we will talk with them through it. And immediately when we deliver something, they can already see the value and they can start using it. So if we have a look at the B2C again, from my experience, what we were trying to release every time was something that was already functional, reliable, usable, and also pleasurable. And then we were like improving it towards higher goals. But in B2B right now, we are a little lower in this pyramid when releasing the new features. We are still aiming for the perfection, but the main thing for us is to release something that is usable, so users can immediately get some value and get some things off their hands. So if you look at it again, the thing is that it's not like we don't aim for the delight, but we need to ship fast, and every week spent by being hung up on the details to perfection means for our users another week spent maybe in Excels or doing some workarounds. So as our CTO said, it's all about finding balance between the vision and the day-to-day execution. So yeah, we envision something great, but a lot of times we need to we envision something perfect, but a lot of times we need to meet the users halfway and deliver something to them faster. So let's do some examples. My first example would be tasks. In our system, user could create tasks for other users, but they were not able to link them to the reservations. Let me give you an example. Imagine you have a person staying 3 months from now. He's on a call and he's saying to you on the reception that he's allergic and he needs hypoallergenic pillow in his room 3 months from now. So what you would do as a receptionist, you can create a task for housekeeping, which is due to 3 months from now. But until now, or until recently, you were not able effectively link the reservation, which is already in the system, to the task, which is also in the system. So we were looking for the fastest way. How can we enable our users to do this so they don't have to like copy paste all the details about the reservation to the description of the task? And what we did was pretty simple. At the end, we just added a search field into the form where you would create a new task. And Then when you create a task with assigned reservations, you would see it in the task list. Every task which has assigned reservation has a small icon there. This solution was not perfect when we were shipping it out. What we wanted to do was also to provide some information in this table about the reservation, but it was not technically possible. So the only thing we could put there fast was this icon to actually mark those reservations who mark those tasks who has actually attached reservation. So we knew about multiple gaps that still needed to be patched and some flows missing, but let me share the results with you. We launched this feature in the mid-February, and immediately after the launch, the usage basically went through the roof, and it stayed like that ever since. The percentage of the newly created task with attached reservation is from 70 to 80%, and this allowed us to start gathering feedback immediately. So for the next sprints where we were shipping relevant improvements, we already had active feedback from our users, and we had more guidelines and more inputs about what to improve next on this feature. My second example would be restrictions. Users can create complex pricing policies with various rules and restrictions in our system, but the problem is that the resulting settings are very overwhelming and they are very hard to understand. Let me give you an example. During Christmas, you want to sell your rooms at the hotel for the most expensive price, because you charge extra for the Christmas. So you want to block all the cheaper rates for your rooms. And also you want to take reservations only for the stays which are 3 nights or longer, because it's just not profitable for you as a hotel manager to serve reservations which are only 1 or 2 nights long during Christmas. Cool. So to give you a little example, this is how the resulting table would look like. Properties actually have hundreds of lines in these tables. Each of the line is one of these rules. These rules can be overlapping, overriding each other. So actually understanding how does the setting look like for a particular day or particular rate was pretty challenging. So what we did at this point, we arranged some interviews with the revenue managers, which are actually the users who work with this screen sometimes even hours per day. And we did some interviews with them about what are the goals they are trying to achieve here, what are their bigger pain points, and then we went to the phase where we were trying to take away their pain point, which was actually that they don't understand the final setting. Their bigger problem with this table was that it takes them ages to actually understand how something is set up. So what we did is that we created calendar view for all of these restrictions, and the calendar view deals with all the overrides and all the overlaps. So within each cell, you would see the resulting setting, even if it's the combination of 3 or 4 settings created separately. To be honest, when we launched that, we were still missing a few features in here. We are still missing filters, but we decided to take this step and put it out immediately. and the reactions were pretty good. I love the visual demonstration. Thanks for hearing my prayers. And all over, I think we have we have about 500 votes about this feature, and the overall customer rating is 4 out of 5. So for something that is not there yet, was something that is not maybe how I envisioned it at the beginning. It's already pretty good, and it's already bringing some great value to our customers. And last but not least is our billing screen. This is still something that it's in the development, so it's not live yet. So this is the screen where users, most often front office, can charge guests. They can add some extra services or close their bills. But the problem with this screen that I will show you in a bit is that it has huge technical depth, and it's quite labor intensive for developers to add or support new features. One second. Okay. So this is the preview of our current billing screen. As you can see, there is some space for improvement. Imagine that you're at the reception and you are handling a group of 50 people checking out at the same time, and you would see all of these here, and you need to move stuff around and check them out within a few minutes, or they get nervous and their experience is not so great. So the thing is, how can we even redesign this? We cannot do this iteratively. We cannot launch it iteratively because they just need this functionality. They work with this screen for hours every day. There's a huge technological debt, so we cannot actually do like small changes iteratively and then at the end change the whole thing. And once we get rid of the old solution, and once the old solution is replaced by the new solution, we need our users to actually be experts already about the new solution, because we need the billing to work really quickly and fluently. So what we did after a series of user interviews and user testing is that we basically created a new billing screen with a much simpler layout, and we created two views for the billing. Two views meaning by two contexts. So one context of this billing screen would be the context of individual user, and the second context would be the context of the whole reservation and all the people in the reservation. So how we are planning to launch this is first we will launch the context of only one of these views, and it will, for some period of time, coexist in the system with the old solution. So users can actually get used to new environment, new UI, and once we will get rid of the old solution, and we will add the second context also in the new layout, they will be already experts in with working with this new billing screen. Another thing that we did is basically cutting down from all that we want to build. So the designs are pretty ambitious. They are coming from all the feedback, all the requests or the pain points. They are coming from we had to look at how the large group builds, how the large group works. If we want to enable our users to check out group of 50 people effectively and close their bills at the same time. This was one of our goals, and we created something pretty ambitious, but not all of it can be delivered as once. So all these pink rectangles here are basically what we with developers decided not to have in the first version of billing. So this is something that we are maybe not designing right now, but we are looking at it and we know about for the future. So we can sooner launch something that should already bring some value and gather feedback quickly and improve iteratively week by week. So my advice at the end is that if you are like me and you're working on a complex system with some technological debts and with a lot of things that can be done and can be developed, just pick your battles wisely. Not everything can be done at once. Not everything. There is a time and place for some features. So if for me, if I go back to the example from the beginning, of course those forms can be improved, but later. It's just not the time and place to improve that particular problem right now. So just try to prioritize, take a step back and evaluate what is the best use of your time and of your colleagues' time. What can you do now? And manage your expectations. Don't expect the same level of perfection as in B2C in the first round, but I'm sure you will get there. So just know your product and its limitations. Don't struggle with them, just work around them and talk to your users and your colleagues so you know what to focus and what to let go. Thank you. Any questions?